Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It's Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan. As we always do, it's our middle of the week podcast where we do a little tape review from the game before. Adam, I'm not exactly sure. Hey, we got some loyal listeners, but I know reviewing the tape of this win over the Cowboys is going to be painful. Even the good parts are probably going to be painful for some. But we have a lot of stuff on that. Obviously, the trade deadline came and went. The Eagles made no moves. We'll get into that. There were a few moves made around the league, but I think, as we mentioned on the last pod, it didn't feel like anything big was going to get done anyway. So this is the team that the Eagles are going forward with.
Correct. They're going forward with this roster. Actually, I have some really interesting stuff from the tape today. Actually, this is actually going to turn out to be this show way better than I expected.
Oh, good.
So stay tuned, folks. We got some good intel from some pretty good sources, about 3 people I spoke with around the league on just Eagles tape that I really respect. And I'm learning more about offensive line play, defensive line play, and cornerback coverage. The Eagles did something on at corner and safety they've never done before. Not never, but they haven't done before this season, which I was not aware of. Because you can't tell if TV copy. When I'm watching the game, it's like you're just reacting just like anyone else would when you're watching the game live, and then you find out if you make some calls that there's things that you weren't aware of, and what you think you saw you didn't see, which we're laymen here, but we learn. We're the reason why we created the show is to learn, and so everyone watching can learn. So we'll do that. And the trade deadline, there were a lot of moves on Monday. There were so the way that a bunch of people told me is that the deals were more or less loosely agreed to last week. They had to make sure the players didn't get hurt or in this game, because they've had these discussions for like a week or so, and like the Niners worked on getting the kid Jordan Willis from the Jets the week before they traded him, and he may have not. I think they might have had him inactive, the Jets. I can't remember the game right the day before he was traded, but nevertheless, you got to make sure like Desmond King didn't play for the Chargers in their last game. But the thing with Desmond King is he's not an outside corner. The Chargers played him mostly inside. So it never would have made any sense. See, that's the thing when fans look at names, because they're big on names. They don't, and sometimes we don't know exactly where they line up unless you ask people.
Right.
And
accolades. They saw the All-Pro and they got excited.
Exactly. 100%. You're right. So, I checked into him. I'm told mostly slot corner, good size. Not
good returner.
And he can good. Exactly. He's a special teams returner, but as a corner, he's not as good as he used to be.
Right.
And always remember this. There's always a reason why players are available. J.J. had major issues with Adam Gase. Okay, who else hasn't had them with Adam Gase? Particularly with the Dolphins. This is when Gase had personnel control and he wanted so many players out of there. But I think when you look at some of the players that were available, Geoff, it was going to be hard for the Eagles to make trades because we over the last 3 or 4 shows, we kept saying, look, nothing serious is going to happen. They want to move salary, not gain it. And if they do anything, it's going to be either player for player or getting a guy on an expired contract who's in a minimum deal. And those are the kind of things that could have happened, but they couldn't find anything that made sense. And the other thing is, as we get into the show, we're going to go over some stuff, again, that we learned. They now have some players that they didn't really know much about. Jaquette, it would be one of them. That's the kind of thing, Geoff, that when we said they needed an outside corner, well, going into this game, I thought for sure they needed an outside corner. Well, I'm not there on this Jaquette kid, but I'll tell you what, there's something interesting with him.
Yeah, I really think you have to be careful, right, as an organization, of how much you're putting into Michael Jaquette. Because the Cowboys were just so dysfunctional they didn't even try to take care of try to attack.
Right,
him.
You're looking for
that
traits,
doesn't mean
though.
You can't like what you see in traits, right?
You're looking for traits, length,
right,
movement, and that's the kind of thing which we'll talk about when we talk about the defense later in the show. But there was some good stuff. There's, again, when you're watching on TV, even NFL people, they think they see some things, they don't see it all. And it's usually a different story when they grade the tape. And we got some good stuff there. But by the way, this past show, I know Greg Cosell loved it. He said something to me as we were walking off. The football talk that we're having on our pregame show with Trey Thomas and Greg Cosell and Malik Jackson, who filled in before that.
Jamal Jackson.
Jamal Jackson. Yeah, Jamal Jackson. The number 67, by the way, formerly of the Eagles. But we've gotten this high level football talk, and we're all learning. It's actually pretty cool. Even Greg said, "Look, he's learning from Trey Thomas on technique." And that was it. How about that discussion that Greg said? Greg and Trey were talking about Statlin's technique, and that not a lot of teams, as Trey was talking about, not a lot of teams teach it like Statlin does. So again, it's really a learning experience working with those guys.
Yeah, so now we're not going to do a Sunday show, pregame show at Goose Island Brewhouse this week. Obviously, there's no Eagles game on Sunday, so we will be back in 2 Sundays, though, same place, and I believe that's a normal 1 o'clock game, so we'll be there at 10 a.m., like we always are every game Sunday. So in absence of a game, our normal Friday morning podcast that's going to drop at 6 a.m. Friday, where we would normally preview the Sunday game, what we're going to do is give you our half and half series on the state of the team at the midway point. We're going to go through probably the offense, right?
Yeah,
and then for the following Monday morning podcast, that'll be our defense. And then the midweek one for next week, there won't be any game to break down, but we'll start to get into any moves that have been made and just kind of looking ahead toward the second half of the schedule, because that's going to be critical for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we'll get into what needs to change and what not.
And probably, right, we'll probably do a lot of Ask ITB questions. We've got a ton of them.
Yes.
And so we'll probably use that show will probably be devoted to that. So I love it. This bye, could the bye come at a better time? I mean, my goodness gracious, this is about as
I needed it.
We all did. We all did. You're right. And then the other thing is, it's for the players and coaches, it's the midway point. So I'm told that the coaches will get off Thursday through Sunday, but I know some coaches who've been on the schedule with byes, they typically come in Sunday, although they don't need to come in. They may come in Sunday. And then remember, they have the light work on Monday, and then they get the regular schedule starts Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for the Sunday game at the Giants. And not much on the injury front. We know about Slay, that Doug Peterson confirmed that it's not a bad ankle injury. Should be fine for the next game, and we'll know more. We'll see on Lane Johnson, man. I don't have a great feeling when the guy when his knee flares up, because that should not be happening with a grade 1 MCL sprain. Just telling you, that's not normal. A grade 1 MCL, most offensive linemen will play the next week. You never need surgery for it. On the knee, I'm talking about, not the ankle. You already have the one surgery on the ankle. But that was a little bit troubling. But the injury news is going to get better after the bye. Miles Sanders should be back for Week 10. Malik Jackson's injury is more of a day-to-day. It's been nagging him. He keeps aggravating it, that quadricep strain. And then Ertz, the earliest he could return would be 11. That would be a stretch. But as we've learned lately, it's been a really good sign, Geoff. These injured guys are coming back, for the most part, a little bit earlier than we expect.
That's right. I think the offensive line and tight end position there, Adam, are going to be 2 big positions for health going forward, clearly, in the second half of the schedule. Let's go through some quick transactions that the Eagles have made. Some of them are not. Some of them are big only because of not necessarily the name, but because all of a sudden they're here and they're gone. So on Monday, they re-signed Hakeem Butler, the tight end, who had that one glorious snap, right? And linebacker Rashad Smith to the practice squad, and to clear room, they released Marcus Green, a wide receiver, and they released Dante Olson, the linebacker, who to me is sort of like becoming the Trevor Williams of the linebacker group. They cut him really early in training camp, so they clearly didn't love him. Brought him back to the practice squad a couple weeks ago, and now they're cutting him again. So clearly not good for Dante Olson. He can't stick on. But what do you know about this linebacker Rashad Smith?
Yeah, he is your typical Eagle small linebacker, 6'1", under 230.
Shocker.
Yeah, has athleticism. This is kind of what they want. The thumpers like Olson. No, he's not a huge guy, but he's got decent size.
Right.
They're like, this is not what they want in this defense. It's weird because I don't remember Jim Schwartz liking linebackers of this profile. I don't recall, and when he was the Lions head coach, he wanted smaller linebackers, but that's what they do here. No,
he wanted part of it. When he was I'm sorry, but I thought it was the opposite. If I remember correctly, with the wide 9, I always thought he had the thumpers.
Stephen Tulloch. Yeah, Stephen Tulloch.
Yeah, Tulloch, and then there's a guy in Tennessee, Bullock, before Tulloch.
Keith Bullock, right? Keith Bullock, right?
He would have a 230-pound guy, 240. which is, now that's really heavy. But even back then, that was starting. Trotter played at 260. You almost never see that.
He was an anomaly, right.
But I always remember when you played the Y9, you wanted that thumper linebacker and safety. So I think you raise a good question. Is this more the front office, what they prefer, or is it the coaching staff? I don't know.
It's a good question. And yeah, Jaquette and Raekwon Williams go back. That's by rule. They have to go back to the practice squad if they are call-ups, that they're not signed off of it. So that by the new rule, that's what happens. Then wave goodbye to Jason Kroom. He's gone. He was waived on Tuesday. I could see him back on the practice squad, for sure. Well, I don't know why they wouldn't if he's got eligibility left. So nothing earth-shattering. The Eagles didn't make any trades, but I will tell you that last week or 2 weeks, whenever the heck I reported it, teams have been called. The one thing that the Eagles got were a ton of calls, I'm told, on BNs. Nobody has bet. Now, even if Avery had not gotten hurt, I think Avery could have been moved because there were teams interested in him, but it never happened. Right. They did get calls about Barnett. The Seahawks are one of the teams, I'm told, that called for him. Remember, the Seahawks are trying to get a second end. They got Dunlop, who's going to play this week. And, look, Derek Barnett is a good player. The Eagles didn't want to move him, and it never went anywhere because the Eagles weren't going to move him. They've been waiting for this. This Derek Barnett, Geoff, that they have right now, this is the most consistent that he's played.
Right.
He's playing good football. This is the guy that they thought they were getting, which we saw flashes of before all the injuries. And the thing is now, this DN rotation, man, could be pretty nasty, and I mean that in a good way going forward.
Yeah, no, it could be, and I think it's rounding into form at the right time. You saw Vinny come back. He's been back for a couple of weeks, had a big game against Dallas. So it's exactly what they wanted, deep and talented again. I do wonder, though, when they waived Jason Kroom, the tight end, I believe that they have an open spot. At the time that we're recording this, they have an open spot on the 53-man because they didn't bring anybody in via trade, and so they waived Jason Kroom. So I wonder I think that you saw Darius Slay and Malik Jackson both left the game with injuries. Now, Doug said they were going to be okay, but, okay in Doug lexicon could only mean 3 weeks, right? So I wonder if they're doing that to open up space for either a lineman or a secondary player. Or something
it could be Anthony Rush. Rush visited.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm told. So I typically the Eagles teams typically will not, because of the rules this year, they're not going to bring players in they're just not just doing it to see the player or work them out. Right. More often than not, it's to sign them. Nothing official right now. We'll see if they do it. But with all these injuries that they've had at D tackle, I mean, this guy knows the system. Talking Seattle, what I'd heard is with Rush, he's strictly a rundown guy. He was more situational for them. If it was against a heavy run team, you needed him. If it was against more of a finesse pass team, he didn't have much value to them. So we'll see what happens there. But Rush is a guy that knows their system. It's a good find for the Eagles. So we'll see if he comes back.
It's funny when we talk about linemen in this scheme because if we say certain words too fast, or it almost seems like a different adjective, like we're calling a guy a rundown tackle as if he's run down and beaten up. No, he's a first down, run down type of
because Eagles are a nickel
our
team.
Listeners know that, right?
Yeah, Eagles are a nickel team. They're not playing base, like very little, man. It's this game was the epitome of that. We'll get into that of kind of there are some games you might play a little more base. There are a lot of games you're going to play more nickel, and when you play the Cowboys with Ben DiNucci, although Cooper Rush has a real good chance to start this week because DiNucci Jerry Jones. How about Jerry Jones coming out? I mean, Jerry can't control himself. He didn't totally uncalled for the stuff he said about DiNucci. Let Mike McCarthy say this stuff. Why does he have to say it? But anyway,
not Mike McCartney. Mike McCarthy.
Right, exactly right.
Yeah, no, I was a little surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we'll take a quick break here to remind you, PHLSportsNation.com is where it's at. Check them out on the internet. Also, their Twitter account, @PHL Sports Nation. They're covering all 4 Philly teams and the Union like nobody else, enhancing the fan experience with their great content. So make sure you're checking them out at PHLSportsNation.com and on Twitter @PHL Sports Nation. We'll pause real quick for another word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motors Cars. All right, let's get into the offense first with our tape review. Why don't we start with Carson Wentz, Adam?
Yeah.
Because clearly that's been an issue. I went back and looked on tape at myself, so I'll just give you my own opinion.
Yeah, please.
I've already said that I felt that the second fumble, when they break the huddle with 3 seconds left and they get completely blitzed and Van Der Esch hits them, you can put that on Doug for not calling timeout. You can put it on the communication issue there. And I mean, of all the 4 turnovers, I feel like that one was preventable by other people other than Carson Wentz. But the other 3, to me, are just bad.
The first one is inexcusable. It's just
Mm-hmm.
you can't hold on to the ball, wait for someone to get open, drop back when you should have gotten rid of it and get sacked. It just
Right.
It's it's troubling. There's no doubt it's troubling. We're not at a crisis point with Wentz, but you should be concerned. We'll talk more about this on our Friday show when we break down the first half of their offense and what we're hearing from people who've looked at them. But the turnover numbers in this game, and I know that let's just isolate Wentz here in terms of decision making. You could take away Dallas' defense. Let's just isolate him. So many of Wentz's mistakes were on him.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the offensive line. What he's trying to do is be a hero. The term is hero ball.
Mm-hmm.
He is pressing like you can't believe for the guys to get open and make a play. I do believe some of it is the timing, as Carson talked about. That's a fair point. We're not making excuses. We're just telling you the way it looks from a football standpoint. For the people who want us to bury him, that's not our job. Our job is to explain to you what we know, what we think, and what we're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a poor game from him. You can't excuse it. I do like that he's trying to get the ball downfield, but his refusal to take what's underneath. There were, as I suspected was the case, and I couldn't see this on TV, there were plays within 15 yards to make, other than the Goddard cat play. That was a really nice play.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, Geoff, he's just not making them, and he's trying to make the big play. Take what's there. They're available. And this scheme, it's not all in the coaching. It's not even half the coaching. It's on the football player. You just can't excuse this stuff. Take what's there, man. Stop trying to be a hero.
Yeah, I wrote a column on InsideTheBirds.com. It was out on Tuesday, and I say that this is Carson Wentz's mess, but it's got to be Doug Peterson to fix it. And what I mean by that is Doug Peterson's comments after the game and Monday morning seemed pretty strong about not turning the ball over in this league, and that you're not going to survive if you continue to do those things, right? And he talked about, as you mentioned, the turnover tape. So Doug's the head coach, and if somebody's making a repetitive problem, then it's on him to be in the ear a little harder. And if that's not working, right, because we talk about that, maybe he and Press Taylor are not harsh enough critics. That's something that we've heard. Well, even if they're not, or even if they're a little bit critics, they're still in control. They're the coaches. So for Doug, if the words aren't sinking in, then the actions need to change. And if that means playing Jalen Hurts for a series just to give Carson a little time on the sideline and let those emotions do whatever, or if it's creating a game plan that was like the San Francisco game plan. If you remember, the ball went in the air deep in that game, maybe 2 or 3 times. One of them happened to be the Fulgham touchdown, but it was mostly dink, dunk, right? And they barely won that game because of it, but they won. So Doug's got to – it's Carson's mess, but Doug's got to clean it up, and we'll see what happens.
That's a fair point.
Out. He's the head coach.
I'm agreeing with you, man. I think you said it real well. Just looking at my notes from what I got from people through some phone calls this week, the pre-snap movement was pretty good. It was what I thought, but a little bit more. They did a lot. They did a lot of stuff in the first half. They really did. They wanted to give Dallas' defense, which has struggled with processing. The players for the Cowboys, the defensive players, have not processed particularly well in the back end. And the Eagles knew this, so they wanted, because they're big and peaking in the backfield. Now, Cosell talked about this on our show on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned something about, it's not so much coaching sometimes. It's more about, just execute just go by your rules that you were taught by Mike Nolan. You know what the rule and your assistant coaches, but so the Eagles knew this. So they did a good job. I thought they did a good job with the pre-snap motions. We saw the orbit motion, ghost motion, all that stuff. pre-snap. They did more than they have all season.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. Still, the route combinations. They're still asking the receivers to win. In 17. In 17, I remember talking to some people with Eagles then. In 17, there was a lot more creativity in terms of scheming guys to get open, not asking them to win every damn route. Like Kyle Shanahan does not ask his guys to win very much. He's like, yeah, I'm going to scheme it open, and you got to beat your man when I'm having you run across and this guy's trailing you. Keep going because I just created space for you. That's what the Shanahan system creates. The Shanahan and Mike Holmgren system are similar in that way.
Right.
And that's what has to happen here more for the coaches. But I think Carson, it wasn't even about mechanics here. It was decision-making, holding on to the ball way too long. And here's the thing, man. The offensive line, for the most part, played pretty well. And I get it that it's Dallas' defense, but that's not what this is about. This is about isolating the poor play from the quarterback that has not gotten better. There's certain areas of his game are just simply not getting better. The hold on the ball too long, trying to be her hero, trying to go for the big play, as you'd said, and you're really right in our Sunday or our Monday show. His post-game press conference is troubling in that it's still about making the big play. He said he's got to be himself, however he said it. I know what he meant, but that was not necessary. Just take what is there. You can't keep saying it's the coach's fault with Wentz in terms of the short to intermediate pass game, Geoff. It's there, and take it.
Yes. No, I'm totally with you. Taking what the defense gives is smart football. And then that allows you, once you start doing that, the defense has to adjust to it. So they may have to play closer to the line of scrimmage. They may have to focus on the inner part of the field if you're exploiting it. And that will open up the outsides for you. It's a very, tried and true kind of formula for a lot of good quarterbacks and good offenses in this league. It's almost like it used to be you use the run to set up the deep pass, the play action, but now you can use the short pass to set up the deep pass. And it definitely felt like Carson was trying to hit the home run, before he even got to the plate. So
they hit a screen, by the way. They hit a screen in that game.
Yeah, they did hit a screen. They did. And to your point on the offensive line, I'm wondering if anybody said I felt like Jason Peters did a nice job.
He was good. Real
a
good.
lot of those outside zones that are going to the right.
Yeah.
He's got to either put a reach on the 3 technique or jump into the second level. And I thought he did a really nice job with those seal blocks on the back end of a zone to give that running back a good cutback lane if needed, or just to get rid of a guy who might run across the line of scrimmage and make a tackle.
Right. So when we talk about the offense, folks, I'm not going to talk much about Dallas's defense. We're going to isolate how players look because the Eagles offensive line was not challenged a ton because of the Dallas might be the worst team in the interior on the defensive line. They're just really, really, really bad. If Sanders played in this game, he's getting 150 to 200 yards. I'm not joking. I'm serious. He would have killed him.
I believe it.
Miles is an instinctive, special player. He's got great vision. Boston Scott did a good job. Give him his credit. He has a certain style. It was good to see him. He got a lot of work. People want – it's funny. There were some people complaining, I don't know why, that the Eagles should have run the ball more. Like, what do you – I mean, Scott –
they were averaging a lot. They were running
carries.
through them.
Like, what do you –
Yeah, he did have 20 carries.
What I think they meant was this point is fair. I think it's very fair because they want to help Wentz.
Settle your quarterback down, yeah.
I get it, but you're going to reduce the amount of points you could score if you continue to try to run the football. This is about explosive plays. Rager played. We'll get into the receivers in a second, tight ends. But I'll tell you the thing that really bothered me is there are a bunch of plays where Wentz had 5 seconds, 4.5, 5 seconds, which is like a year in the National Football League to throw the football.
Mm-hmm.
And Wentz, it's like if you're going to hold on to it, just run. Just don't sit like this is how you get hurt. Get rid of the football or run or dump it off. That's on him, man. We could point the finger at coaches all we want, but it wouldn't be fair in this way. Carson's just got it. If you want to win in the National Football League, take what's there, and he's just not doing it enough.
Did you get any kind of info or intel on why there was only one target to Dallas Goedert?
Yes, he blocked a lot. His seal blocks.
Oh, he was good, yeah.
Oh, he is so integral. I have to find out how he graded, but it was mentioned to me about 2 or 3 guys that I talked to this week. He was really fantastic in the run game. Yeah, they didn't have him run out. They didn't have him running routes. And I'll tell you this, and one more thing before we move on for Wentz, unless you have something else to add.
Mm.
Carson, there were guys getting open. He didn't always throw it. He still.
That's what I was going to ask, really.
Yeah,
Seeing the clear picture.
He's still got this mentality that I want to hit the home run ball, because they're really like, it's weird because we complained all last year about the receivers were running in mud, how slow they were.
Right.
They have so much speed now. Carson's probably getting excited about it. I get that, but dude, take what's there. I'm telling you, the scheme in terms of guys running routes better. And it's been more efficient in that area. We don't talk about this a lot, but from the people I've spoken with, it's better. I still, though, struggle with the route combination sometimes. They're asking guys to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the coaches are doing a better job with pre-snap motion. They're getting better looks for the receivers and Wentz. It may never be what I want at receiver, because since 18, 19, and 20, they're still asking the receivers to do too much to get open, especially with the younger receivers. Of course, Fulgham gets open repeatedly. It doesn't matter what they're doing. He gets open. But I just think you're asking a little bit too much. But again, to sum it up, Wentz has got to help himself and help his receivers. This is a lay. And I know the win was there. Just the win was a factor. Everyone I've talked to says it was a factor. That's why you take what's there, and he needs to do that.
Yeah, no, you mentioned Fulgham, by the way, and I've spent the last couple of days trying to figure out the last time I remember a guy kind of breaking out like this where you didn't really expect it. And I'm having a
I don't know.
Like Quentin Michael was a safety who was
any position
drafted free agent.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, when Brian Dawkins left that whole disaster, he wound up stepping into the role, and he was not Brian Dawkins, but he played at a fairly good level.
It was actually the kid who they tried. The actual guy who filled in was Quentin Demps.
Well, positionally, yes, but it was Michael and Demps in the backfield.
Yes,
if I remember correctly.
Yes, Quentin was Michael was wow, what a undrafted free agent he was. But
yeah, and Trent Cole was a 5th round pick.
Yeah,
I don't know how many.
That was surprising. He was surprising. Yeah, but this story
on a different level.
Out of nowhere, the guy they didn't draft, who basically was a street free agent. I know he's claimed off waivers, but he was cut by 2 teams. It's unheard of. And to answer, we've got a lot of questions about this. This won't take.
Oh yeah, I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Fulgham signed for 2 years after he was cut. Roseman does this all the time. It's smart. When he signs players off the practice squad, it's always for 2 years, not 1, so they get a full evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
And after this season, after 2021, he'll be an exclusive rights free agent, because he only have 2 years in. He does not have. Last year was not an accrued season. He wasn't there long enough.
So he can't get a new contract after this year, correct?
Correct. Yes, correct.
Okay.
So as a matter of fact, unless he blows it up next year again, I don't know that they'll want to sign him after 21. And this is about as great for a club. I mean, this is just a guy.
Yeah, they're going to have him cost controlled
exactly.
for quite a while.
I was just going to say cost control. It's great. And then after 2022, he'll only be restricted. My sense is that if he blows up next year, they're gonna get him early and get this done, because you're looking at the low end 18 to 20 million. If he blows it up next year, there's no reason to think he won't be a star based on what we're seeing. Something happened after Detroit and in Green Bay. Like something got into it. Maybe he knew it was his last chance or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The urgency that he's had, which I'm told he didn't really have in Detroit. Man, it's amazing what happens when you get fired, so to speak. And we all could go through stuff. Most of us have gone through a lot of stuff in our lives, and you either rise up or don't. And he rose up, and this is quite the story.
Yeah, again, his ability, I mentioned this on the Sunday pregame show, his ability to create yards after the catch and yards after contact. I cannot remember an Eagles receiver in the last, 10, 15, 20 years.
Macklin was, but not to this degree. This is
not after contact. That would be more of the balls in the air. He could get it and run past. I don't remember a guy being able to stiff arm.
Yeah. Right. His play strength, and folks, Fulgham's is incredible. Wait till you see Rager after the bye. Now I know he played a lot of snaps in this game, but his role was not because of the wind, and they only threw the ball 27 times.
Mm-hmm.
Knock on wood that he stays healthy, because let me tell you something. This kid's play strength is off the hook. There are going to be times when he gets a chance to do it. You didn't see it much in this game. The one catch he should have made, I can't remember the exact play. He should
Oh, it
have
was
made
a
it.
fade into the end zone in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Or to put the
exactly.
ball-
Right.
Yeah,
He should have won
and
that
he
one.
turned around. He had his hands on it. Yeah.
Right. You got it. You got to attack it. I know what I saw in training camp, and I know what I saw and talked to people before the draft. If you rank players, receivers for play strength, top 5 for this draft, that's what really excited the Eagles about him.
Yes.
He'll know that because he's a real. From what I hear, Geoff, I don't know about you, but I've heard he's super accountable.
Yes, and that was a big thing when we did our pre-draft homework. They said don't just look at the speed that his play. He's not like a Deshaun type who's just going to run and catch bombs. He's and that's not a knock on Deshaun. I'm just saying he's built strong like a running back and explosive in space, and that he has great play strength to match his play speed. So that was always good.
Sure.
All right, so that's pretty much it for the offense, right? And we've gone through that.
O-line's just a couple.
O-line. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, actually, we got to do tight ends real. I'm sorry. We talked about Goddard.
Yeah.
He was blocking a lot. Hightower. The thing with Hightower is he's not the greatest tracker of the deep pass. Rager's probably better in that area. I know Hightower now is going to be limited to how many snaps he's going to get because Rager is now their Z and Fulgham's their X the rest of the season. But Jordan Mailata had probably half a dozen plays where he's got to be better, but he did. I'll tell you what I really liked about him. He rebounded significantly off of that. Obviously everyone saw it on TV because they replayed it. The whiff that he had, he did a good job for the most part of recovering. He still is the hand usage and the way it's taught is just not it for a rugby player. It's going to take him a full offseason as getting a ton of reps, Geoff, and he didn't have one this year. This hurt him.
Yeah.
The Jordan Mailata we're seeing now, who's a good football player, probably be way more advanced if he had those 300 to 400 snaps in the offseason. But he's coming along, and look, he now is there. Until Lane, if Lane Johnson's back right after the bye, great. If he's not, Mailata will be the right tackle. Herbig, see the thing with Herbig is you kind of know that he's limited as an athlete, but when he's big and he takes up so much space and when he's got heavy hands. When he gets his hands, the way he's explained to me, when he gets his hands going, he's pretty effective in the run game. And Peters, by the way, as you said earlier, really good. He looked really good. This is the best he looked all season. And again, I'm not worrying about what Dallas's D-line look. I'm talking about movement and play strength. What happened to Jason last year, I'm told, was he was on his butt too much. That was not happening in this game. He looked like, I don't want to say he was reborn. He just looked like he had not looked before this season. It's a really good sign, and now they have a bye. You hope for the Eagles' sake that this can continue at left tackle.
Yeah, I mean, Peters looked like he had not played in several weeks, so he had didn't have the mileage that everybody else has in midway of the season. Yeah, he's a little bit fresher than everybody else.
Sure.
All right, cool. We'll move on to the defense first, as we always tell you about our friends from DraftKings. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code ITB for a special offer when you sign up. That's code ITB for a special offer when you sign up only at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, back to the defense. We talked about this a little bit, how Jim probably came in with a plan that he was going to, do like what he did to Luke Falk last year, but all of a sudden Dallas brought all these wacky gadgets to the table, and you got to scale back and go, hold on.
Well, I don't think. Okay, here's what I do think. It was some of what we talked right after the game. I do think he looked at what this kid DiNucci was doing. Who he looked like he was lost. And there's really, you could blitz them like they did, and they had 11 sacks against Falk, but they played what's called split zone, and they actually what they did was they played some man and some zone in their secondary, which I thought was interesting. They have not done that, I'm told, this season. That was one source's tape study, which I thought that was interesting. I don't have an answer of why he did it. Maybe it was
probably to confuse him.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Maybe that's why. I don't have it.
It's a good way to try to get some interceptions, to be honest, because this team does not get a lot of turnovers.
Sure, it probably made it. Well, look, DiNucci had now again. He's a guy who shouldn't have been playing. He held on the ball a lot. He was confused. So whatever. Look, they had some nuances. You saw Will Parks play more. He played double the amount of snaps he played the week before. He did a better job. He's starting to feel more comfortable with the defense. Hargrave was good in this game. The difference between Hargrave and Cox is starting to really show up. Cox is the big, powerful guy. Hargrave is the smaller, squatty guy who's got lower body explosion. But Hargrave still is not quite what they need him to be because this wide nine's different from anything he's learned.
Mm-hmm.
But he's starting to get there. They rotate. Josh Sweat was really good. See, this is why you got to get past the stats. Run fits superior. Really, really good with his run fits.
Mm-hmm.
Barnett continues to show up. Again, it's not about numbers. It's about what the tape shows. He's doing a good job. He's getting more stronger physically. Remember, Barnett missed basically 6 weeks of training camp. He didn't do anything because of his whatever. He had 2 injuries, so he's doing a good job. They got after it pretty good. They're what do you call them? Pressures. I think if they're not number 1 in pressures, they're top 3 in the National Football League. They get a lot of pressures. It's not total sacks. It's about making the quarterback move off his spot.
Mm-hmm.
They continue to do it. So you got to feel pretty good right now about their D-line. And as we said earlier, man, that DN rotation is something else, man.
Yeah, and of course, we didn't even mention Brandon Graham and how well
he was awesome in this game. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he was awesome. Again, it's not he had a sack. He had 4 combined tackles. He had a hurry and the big forced fumble, obviously, and the recovery on the same play. But his ability to win with speed, power to speed, however he does it, his chops, he's just. I don't know that I've seen any player here in this market other than Trent Cole, and I don't think Trent Cole is as good as Graham is at his age. This is something else, man. As I said on our Sunday night show or Monday morning show, I don't care what they do next year. Graham's not going anywhere. They need to get younger, and Roseman and White are going to have to bite the bullet here with the older players. You're just going to have to get younger and live with it. But this is a guy must end his career as an Eagle, and whenever he wants to retire. If he plays at this level, he could name his year he wants to retire. This guy's too damn valuable.
Yeah, and by the way, you can pencil in defensive end as probably the likeliest position that the Eagles will take in the first round coming up this year. I mean, you never know. I don't know what the crop will be like, but
not corner.
I mean, how often do they take a corner in the first
round?
No,
I know, but they need it, man. Opposite Slay, and Slay will be 30 next season. All right,
that'll be their second round pick.
We'll see. Yeah, but that was good. Their rotation's doing great.
I do want to say though, and this is a kind of a theme that we've talked about throughout the year. In the past, when you've put the spotlight on the Fletcher Cox versus Zach Martin matchup, Fletcher has won that matchup more often than not. That
true.
Martin is
100%.
bad. It's been a heavyweight match. It's a really awesome matchup, to be honest with you. If you're a line junkie, I felt like Zach Martin had some pretty good reps against Fletcher Cox on Sunday night. I thought if you were to give a winner, you might say Zach Martin got him a good amount of times. I mean, it's never going to show up in the way the game went because there's guys all around Zach Martin who like their right tackle is a disaster, right? So, but Zach had some pretty good reps against Fletch. So again, you kind of wonder, is Fletch kind of coming on the downside here? And can he,
well, he's not the same player once was. I think
right.
that we know. But
yeah.
One more thing. No, he definitely had some. Cox had some individual plays which were terrific. Linc Jackson, before he got hurt, before he re-injured his quadriceps, these quad strains, man, they got to go away. The hope is that it'll go away and he'll be able to play in Week 10 versus the Giants. But Jackson had some really good snaps. He's more just to sum it up, he's more explosive than Hargrave to this point. Now, Hargrave might get to the point once he gets this wide nine and it's the techniques that they're taught. He might wind up being better than Malik Jackson, but he's not there yet. But he is definitely getting better.
All right. I think a lot of people will look forward to that because they're waiting for Javon Hargrave to kind of make that big splash. But as long as the defensive line in general does what it's supposed to do, like it's been doing lately, I think people will be happy. Let's move to linebackers. I mean, the stat sheet tells you that TJ Edwards played a pretty good game, and he clearly applied a lot of pressure. This goes back to, though, look who you're playing and things of that nature. I mean, it's fair to point out that, everybody was going to look good because it was all out. It was a field day on Danucci.
Right, but just to isolate because this shows more about isolation of players. Edwards had a good game, not a great game, but a good game. Played a lot on special teams like Singleton. In fact, both guys played the exact same amount of snaps on defense and on special teams. And the thing you see about Edwards, he's so explosive with his lower body. He's not fast at all. That's not what I mean. But he explodes to the ball carrier when he zeroes in and he reads it correctly. You notice it. That's the way it's explained to me.
Right.
That's what you hope, which you didn't really see enough of last year. So Singleton and right now are your technically your starters. You know, it's we know the Eagles are a nickel defense. That's kind of what you're going to see.
Yeah.
And Duke Riley, as I suspected, would be the third linebacker. You know, he could cover. He's not the most consistent player. He's also a key special teams player.
Right.
But TJ Edwards is a pretty good find for them. He as we both know, he lost weight in the offseason. And Singleton's also been a find. I'll tell you, the linebackers are coming on here. What I do want to see, though, when they play Cleveland with Chubb, if Chubb's available, come back from his MCL sprain in Week 11, and when they get to Seattle and Chris Carson and all these matchups, Green Bay with Aaron Jones, my goodness gracious, and Jamal Williams is a really good backup. That's when you're really going to know, Geoff, where these linebackers are.
You took the words out of my mouth. I mean, I don't want to discredit the linebackers, but at the same point, what do we say all the time? I'm surprised teams don't really attack them at the linebacker. And they started to do it a lot, but then you just happen to play two opponents the last two games. I mean, the Giants, I don't even, their running back situation was tough. Their Ingram.
Although, Geoff, in that Giants game and the Dallas game in the third quarter, we should mention, I'm glad you brought this up.
Yeah, we were disappointed with
their run fits were bad. I was told their run fits were really bad.
Right.
It's funny. One of the few times I could notice linebacker play not being good on TV, and I ran it by the three guys I talked. They all said that. They said they were not hitting the correct gap. The gap discipline was not good. Anyway, the D-line also got gashed. That might be to your point with Martin getting the job done, but overall, the linebackers are getting back. Singleton's definitely a find. Look, would you rather him be, your fourth guy? Sure. But you have what you have, and the good thing is they're getting better.
Yeah, I think stability is a better word, right?
Yes, they're definitely better than they were earlier in the season, where they're completely lost and embarrassing.
Right,
they're all getting better,
but their book will be written in November.
Exactly,
and December.
That's fair. I think that's very fair. Then we're going to really know. But if you're an Eagles fan, which most of you are listening, although it's funny, a couple of Dallas fans reached out to me. It was really nice. They loved the show.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good for them.
Because I think they appreciated we're not fans, that they're trying to learn because they're going to watch the game. Hey, what do these guys who cover the Eagles know about this team? They want to learn. We also had some Dallas Nuggets the last show, so that was cool. So we appreciate that. But I'll tell you what, the front seven's getting better, and the thing is, knock on wood, they're healthier.
Yeah, I agree. Healthy, productive, good so far. We'll say, and obviously, you play the same Giants team that I'll say this. I questioned when you said you thought that Tampa was the best team in the NFC, and I'm going to question that again. They did not have a great showing against the Giants.
Well, who's better but who do you think is better in Tampa?
Seattle. I think Seattle is better.
Well, Seattle's defense is atrocious.
I don't care. They'll outscore the Buccaneers.
Well, I'll say this. They're going to have to see. The thing is, Wilson's pass attempts are higher than it's ever. They're usually in like 27. He's averaging like mid-30s. It's because their defense can't stop anyone. Why do you think they traded for Dunlop and they try to get another DN, but Eagles can't beat Russell Wilson anyway. Sorry, but that's another story for another time.
There you go. I wonder if there's the NFC is really kind of after Seattle and Tampa, it's up for grabs. Like Arizona has been a nice team.
5-2.
I think people wonder how good they really are. Green Bay has gotten exposed.
New
At
Orleans.
one point, they looked really good. New Orleans is battling injuries, and they struggled against Chicago. Did they lose to Chicago, or did they just barely beat? Yeah, they lost to Chicago.
Beat them. Right? No. New Orleans beat them at 1 in overtime. They blew the lead.
Right. That's right.
And Chicago fought back. Poor Nick Foles is getting the crap knocked out of him. Their line is awful. They lost now 2 starters.
Right. I'll tell you a team that I think has a lot of talent.
All right.
That can contend if they finish. Well, obviously, if they finish, they're going to be good. But I still think the Atlanta Falcons are a talented team that had some dysfunction going on.
Yeah,
you got Julio, you got Ridley, you got Matt Ryan, you got Gurley playing well. You got
Hunter Hurst, Hayden Hurst.
Triple H, you calling him?
Yeah, I know. Hayden is a great guy. He was on Sirius with me, NFL Radio, a year ago, and he's done some great work with mental health. But they're loaded on offense, and not that the Eagles are playing them, but Atlanta's going to be a problem for some teams. You're right. They beat Carolina last Thursday. It is amazing when you change coaches.
Right. If Gurley kneels at the goal line. And
oh, my God. Right. I mean.
Then they're 3-0 in their last 3 games.
By the way, do you know that Gurley in the last game against Carolina, when they were trying to run the clock out, he stayed in bounds?
Yes. I did
see that. He ran to the sideline and didn't get out of – I mean, like, dude, you know better than that. You're smarter than that. What are you doing? Yeah. But anyway. Secondary, Geoff, I'll tell you what. Michael Jaquette, he's long. He wasn't drafted, so let's not go crazy here. Again, just trades.
Come on.
just traits. He did some good things. They didn't really test him in this game, but he carried it. The way it was explained to me is he carried out his assignments very well.
Okay.
So at least he's worth. Now he's back on the practice squad. And Eagles didn't have to protect anyone because you don't have to during your bye week.
Right.
But all the rest of the rules stay the same. IR stays. It does not. Remember, it's games, not weeks. So Zach Ertz's IR does not count for this week. He's got to miss week 10, and then he could come off week 11 if he's ready to go.
Right.
But so that kid has got he's earned a second look. Where from what I heard, I know Peterson said he was interesting in training camp. I heard he didn't look great. But look, he showed some good things. He played a lot more. Well, we know because Slay got hurt. Mills went back to corner in that game. Mills was not, I'm told, good in the run game. He had some challenges. He's also not – at times over his career, he's been good against the run, but lately he has not been. McLeod continues to play well. He's just – I was not on board with him coming back because he's another 30-year-old player. But as I was told, they needed someone with experience back there that knows Jim's scheme. So, okay, great guy. By the way, we got to know Rodney a little bit.
Definitely. You're right. We were surprised when they signed him.
I was surprised. Yeah, and he had a
who are they competing
coming
against?
Off of
Right,
shoulder injury.
Right,
He's been a good great dude. He's what did he sign here? 16?
Yes, he was part of that. Brandon Brooks, Rodney McLeod.
Yeah, what a free. I'll tell you what, man. That those 16 and 17, particularly 17 for agency, if they could just get the draft right.
Yep.
Think about it. They one of 3 or 4 teams to make the playoffs 3 straight years.
Mm-hmm.
Just think if they get the draft right. If they get even 75%, not everyone. You know what I mean? Just draft well.
Yeah.
This thing, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right. Do you got anything else on the secondary?
Not really. Look, they weren't tested. This is the problem about this game.
What are we going to say, right?
The problem this game was because the secondary wasn't really tested because the kid looked, Danucci was overmatched.
Mm-hmm.
These guys weren't tested, but the Jaquette stuff was good because a couple guys mentioned to me that they were kind of surprised that because one guy did not like Jaquette at all. Whatever the hell is in Jaquette. We'll find out the exact pronunciation. But
I think we accidentally called him Nate Jaquette the first 2 times we did pods over the summer.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. But no, you know why? Because there was an NFL player named that.
Oh, was there?
I'd have to look it up. Someone will. I love when we get it wrong. People point it out. But actually, it's cool because they go, "Hey, man, you got the right name, but the wrong team."
Yeah,
it's cool. We appreciate it.
We never called Steven Means Natron Means, right? We weren't that bad.
Natron Means, Natron bomb. Yeah, he's coaching in college football, man. Yeah.
Oh, good for him. Good.
So look, I'll tell you what though. Okay, before we get out of here, the Giants are no joke, man. I don't know if you watched that game against the Bucs.
I did. Hold on.
Won.
Yeah.
2 or 3 times he won deep, and Daniel Jones again inaccurate. I'm telling you, man, and I know Darius Slay's played his ass off. He's been what a trade that look. The Eagles not only was the value great because the Eagles were able to not give up as much as Detroit wanted. They got a kid here, he's 29, but they got a guy here who's going. I mean, if he continues to play like this, he'll retire as an Eagle whenever he wants to, and he's been a pretty durable player over his career. He's playing I have to say at an elite level.
Mm-hmm.
No one's getting him. His technique is really good, and this is a hell of a trade. It's a shame they had to go make a trade to go get somebody because of the miss on Jones and the other kid Douglas. But you know what? Who cares? You know what?
After years of DRC and Namdi and Ellis Hobbs and throwing a name there of trading for guys, Nolan Carroll,
Macho Harris.
Well, he was a safety. I know,
but
corner,
he did play some corner here.
Yeah.
Macho.
After all that, Victor,
right? And he started his first. Didn't he start his first NFL game?
He did. Yes.
And we were like, "What?"
Yeah.
Victor Macho Harris,
which was the worst idea you had ever seen, starting a day 2, day 3 rookie in his first game until they did it a couple of years later with Casey Matthews starting middle linebacker as a 4th-round pick out of Oregon, and he got completely outclassed from the start.
He was not good Matthews' son.
Yes, he was the not good one, right.
But anyway, that's pretty much
hold that thought, though. I do want to kind of get into that realm with you, but really quick. We tell you all the time, make sure you're taking advantage of that 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using promo code ITB. You can get the lawnmower, right, with that great skin-safe technology, the crop reviver, the crop cleanser, the crop mop, the foot duster, or, the cologne that they also have that goes with it too. So there's so much to offer at manscaped.com. You got to check them out. 20% free shipping. Use code ITB and help yourself out. All right. Holidays are coming. They make a great gift. That's a big thing.
That's awesome. I'll tell you what. I love that discount of 20%. I don't know why more businesses don't do that. If you really want to entice someone, give 20% off, not 10.
Absolutely. Especially in the holidays. So get that offer now.
Awesome.
All right. So we talked about that Tampa Bay team in the last podcast, and then obviously the Giants fight, right? I think they have five losses that are by one possession of their 7, right? And then 4 of them are by 4 points or fewer. And, they had the Eagles on the ropes. If Evan Ingram played the game that he played against Tampa, then they would have beat the Eagles, right? He would have caught that pass, and they would have killed the clock from then on out or kicked a field goal or whatever. So this is obviously an interesting game that they'll have to play in 2 weeks. But I feel like the NFC East, as bad as it is still very wide open.
It's intriguing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so Washington's got Antonio Gibson. I love watching him play.
Yeah.
From Memphis. He's been fun to watch. Their D-line's something else. Their secondary's not very good, so if you protect, you can get good plays. The kid Kyle Allen's actually doing some good things. He's getting better. He can throw the ball, man. He's a good deep ball thrower. The Giants, as you just said, are competitive. Their D-line gave Eagles real offensive line real fits. Bradbury's a good corner. They can't run the ball to save their life. Although Goldman did a good job against Tampa. Tampa's got a great run defense. I was a little bit surprised by that. Oh, by the way,
I was surprised to see that Alfred Morris is still playing in the NFL.
Well, here's the funny thing, okay? And I stay up on rosters, so I see 41. Who the hell is 41? 41's a D-back. It's usually a safety or a corner. I'm like, who is this? I see Morris. I'm like, it can't be. Is he still playing in the NFL? Alfred Morris? Oh, my God.
It's also an old fullback number, right?
Right. You think
of Tom Rathman, we're in the 44, I think it was, right?
Right, exactly.
But he runs about as fast as a fullback, so
he was a Kyle Shanahan with the Redskins zone cut. Kyle brought him to San Francisco. He's just a guy, but he's
got to play for the Eagles now because he's played for all 3.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that's right, man. So. Yeah, this NFC East, the records are terrible and they're not good, but they can on occasion play good football or better football. But I will say this: the Eagles offense played down to the level of the competition. It's because the quarterback, to sum it up, folks, just not acceptable. They're not benching him. That's not the answer. I'd said on the Fanatic on our Monday night show in Philly, that's where I came up with that idea about, you know what? Why don't you play the Hurts for a series? Yeah, is it partially for a message to Wentz? Sure, but this pack, the Hurts package, it's so blasé. It's not fooling anybody anymore. I know that the net numbers are a little better than negative, but you know what? Let's see it for a series. Let the kid get out there. And as you said earlier in the show here, maybe it does send a message. I never thought of it that way. I was just thinking about maybe because the kid's got skills. I want to see him run a series, let him get comfortable. Mm-hmm. Why can't you do that? In this self-scout, I look forward to doing the show on Friday. Our offensive show, we'll start with that first. Because the self-scouting, man, is so important. The coaches could do a better job. And obviously the quarterback, he needs to accept some of the stuff and know that this is not acceptable and just take what the coaches are giving him and not try to do too much. That's really how you sum it up, man. He's trying to do way too much. 16 turnovers, 12 picks, 4 fumbles lost. It's crazy. Geoff, he's on pace for 32 turnovers. How's it possible?
I'm well aware. I didn't think it was possible, but it's possible. I look forward to the Friday show. We're going to talk about the state of the team, starting with the offense for that show. It's not just going to be us. We'll talk to some people around the league, get what their feel is for the Eagles and what direction they're also headed in. And I look forward to that. So that will do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. Check him out on YouTube. It's called Sports Talk with Broads. Check him out on Twitter at Broads81. And as always, we thank you for flying with us Inside the Bird.